I've been able to spend millions of dollars improving myself with mentoring with some of the most amazing men and women on health, wealth, relationships, hacking my business, and really taking my life to a whole new level. And out of everything that I've learned, out of everything they've taught, there's one secret more profound than any. One that leads to gold medals in the Olympics, another that leads to billionaires crushing it in business. And today I want to share this singular secret with you.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
You want more out of life, right? Like you want to figure out, how do I manifest that bigger house for my family? Or I'd like to drive a nicer car. Or I really just want my business to succeed. Or I want to find love, right? I mean, all of us are going through life and we want stuff. And we want stuff that we're not getting. And it would be so easy to look at what we're talking about here and call this woo-woo science. But the reality is that the number one skill that has more power to change your life than anything else is your ability to visualize. I mean visualize the way that your Olympians use it to actually manifest gold medals. I'm talking about some of the world's most successful individuals are practicing visualization. And before you write this off as some weird pseudoscience, I want you to understand something. Every single second, your brain is processing 20 million bits of information. But your conscious brain can only grab on and understand a couple hundred of those bits. So which ones are you noticing? Which ones are you seeing? If you didn't have a filter system called the reticular activation system, then everything would come in and your brain would like melt or explode or implode. Something would happen. And so instead we have a self-defense mechanism. We have to program what we see in our world. And with 20 million bits of information every second, everything you could want is available. But you can only process a little bit of it. And what you're filtering comes down to decisions you've made about your belief system, and also the people around you have also helped do that. So the problem is your reticular activation system, it is a filter that is made up of a bunch of neurons that have made decisions about your life. And what they do is they activate your confirmation bias. So for example, if I was in third grade and Miss Bohannon told me that I was stupid, or at least that's what I interpreted from the bad grade on my spelling, then my confirmation bias is going to go through life and look for examples where my intelligence is limited. It's going to look for proof that I'm not good at reading, or I'm not good at spelling, or I'm not good at this. And we need that bias through that filter so that we actually block certain information and know what to allow in. The weird thing is that a lot of us are blocking good things and we're letting in bad things. So visualization is the process for retraining your reticular activation system to actually allow your mind to start using confirmation bias for the things that you want that you've never really looked for before. Now, the good news is that this is actually really simple to do, and I'm actually giving you a free copy of this book while supplies last. We ordered a big truckload of this. This book is called Limitless, and it is a compilation of all the science that really helps you understand how visualization is real and how it works. It's called Reclaim Your Power, Unleash Your Potential, Transform Your Life. And I wrote this book. I didn't dedicate it to my wife or my children. I dedicated it to you. I dedicated it to anyone in pursuit of living a bigger, more meaningful life. So if you want to get the deeper science, you're going to find it in here. And this book, I'll actually give it to you for free. Just click the link below. But let's talk about the 2 steps of how you actually perform a super effective visualization. First of all, as corny as it sounds, you've got to stop and you've got to close your eyes, because it helps you block out all the stimulus to help quiet the mind. And what you want to do in your mind's eye, you want to actually see yourself in possession of your goal. So if your goal is to feel more love in your life, then you'd see yourself surrounded by more love. That would be people loving you, or you loving people, or doing acts of service or charity, or whatever that looks like. If your goal is to make $1 million, then in your mind, you would see yourself with $1 million. In fact, you would see yourself surrounded by whatever you want as if it's already happened. And that's the first step, is you've got to actually visualize and see yourself in possession of what you want. Because the mind, we're actually building neurons in your mind around the thing that you desire, telling your brain to build a bias to look for this information and let it in, and at the same time block other information that would be getting in its way. So I'm programming the mind for, let's call it $1 million. I worked with one of my students in 27 years, had never made $1 million. The most he'd ever made, I think, was 120 or 140 grand. And he said, Kris, every year for 27 years, I've wanted to make $1 million. And I taught him this one technique. 9 months later, he made his first $1 million. And how he did it was, step one, he visualized himself in possession of his goal. The second thing that he did is that if you want to activate neurogenesis and actually get your neurons rapidly forming around this new concept and the new construct, is that you need to add emotion to it. Now, you're an emotional genius. You have the ability to manufacture emotions and command them. So if you see yourself with $1 million, how do you want to feel about that? Do you want to feel happy, joy? At first you're going to say, but Kris, that's fake. I'll feel for real what it'll feel like when I have the $1 million. Dude, is it the chicken or the egg? Because you're not going to get the one without the other, which means you've got to actually believe it if you expect to see it. I want you to actually feel those emotions as if you were in possession of that $1 million. I'm asking such a simple thing of you, and yet that's why so many don't do it. There will always be what Jim Rohn calls the magic and the mystery. Everyone can, not everybody will. In fact, most won't. So I'm going to invite you to not be one of those. If you know what you want, you're really clear. And for me, I always have goals in 3 areas of my life. Part of having it all means I know in my health what I want, I know in my relationships what I want, and I know in my wealth what I want. And as I'm growing and developing myself in all 3 of those areas, relationships being me, money, my ability to produce and create, and health, how I actually treat this temple and leverage it for my gain, in all 3 of those areas, if I know what I want, and I do at any given moment, I know what I'm working on, you should too. That's what you're visualizing. You're closing your eyes, seeing yourself surrounded with the circumstances as if they've already happened. And then you're actually allowing yourself to feel the authentic emotion, which you can manufacture. And if you do, you're going to trick your brain into altering your filter and now saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. We are looking for information, but we're looking for something new now. Mr. Krohn knows he wants to lose 20 pounds or put on 20 pounds of muscle. Mr. Krohn now knows that he wants to drive this car. Mr. Krohn now knows that he wants to increase his income. Mr. Krohn now knows that he wants to feel more love in his relationship every day. And if you live there here, then your exterior world begins to reflect it, because now I've got 20 million bits of information coming in through the optical nerve, and all of a sudden my confirmation bias is saying this is the information that we've been waiting to interpret, and all of a sudden I course correct, I move in a different direction, doors of possibility open, I meet new people, circumstances, resources become available. And here's the crazy part, it was always available, but whether you allowed your mind to be directed to it or not, that's what you're fully responsible for. So the purpose in making this video is I want to put this book in your hands. Don't just add it to your library, read it. This book has now changed countless lives. It'll teach you how to harness the power of your mind to be a conscious creator and create the life that you want. It'll also show you how to eliminate the blocks and the limiting beliefs that are hurting you from actually getting the life that you want. Thank you so much for watching today. That is the #1 rule. And connect further with me. The links are below. Learn about my events. Come experiencing something life-changing. If you haven't been to an event in the last 6 months that blew your mind, then check the link below. Come get with me and my team, and let's connect meaningfully.